Hey, welcome to Casual Yelling, a conversational podcast with 85% less yelling. I'm Matt Elfring. This week we've got comedian Xavier Lamont on, and this is the last episode that was branded I Just Want to Talk to Friends. So what that means is I had tons of banked episodes. So please enjoy a conversation with a comedian friend that I haven't talked to in a long time because I stopped doing comedy. Hey, welcome to I Just Want to Talk to Friends, a show about grief and existential dread and trauma and talking to friends. There it is. That's my favorite thing to do is explain to the person I'm interviewing what this show's kind of about and then their reaction. I'm Matt Elfring, as always. With me is a person I don't think I've talked to in a couple of years, but we used to do comedy together. Xavier Lamont, how you doing, sir?
Hey, how's it going, man?
It's going. You know, before we recorded, we talked a little, and you know, you got to make ends meet. You got to do what you can.
It's a scramble, man. I'm actually right now. I'm kind of working on material, kind of talking about that. I think I'm in my Michael Moore phase because I want to talk about like the people, people are doing well and hurting at the same time.
Yeah,
and it's a very weird thing.
Yep. I mean, like, I've got a great wife, a great kid, and job market kind of sucks. So, you know, you do what you can. Just take up freelancing jobs, you know.
The thing I don't get is this is kind of my energy on the whole thing is it feels like the people who have the levers of control and power who decide job market type shit like it seems like they are actively in a game of almost like Jenga of, hey, I wonder if we could topple the economy if we did this.
Yep.
You know, because at the end of the day, I'm really happy that a lot of these guys got their stock prices up higher. But at the end of the day, somebody has to produce a thing and another person has to pay for a thing. And if there's nobody to pay for a thing or nobody to actually make a thing, we got problems.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we're heading now, where they're like cutting out all the people who make the things and taking away their ability to purchase the things that are made.
Yeah.
I don't know how the fuck the economy works without it. Robots?
We're not there yet. I mean, I've lost a few friends to AI writing, which they very quickly realize, like, oh, this isn't a thing that's plausible yet. We're nowhere near that.
But even at the end of the day, even if robots did everything, okay, robots do everything. Somebody has to buy the shit. And if nobody has jobs, what the fuck?
Exactly. Usually I like to start off how we met. I mean, we're both stand-up well, you're a stand-up comic. I'm far retired from that world.
Oh, once a comic, always a comic, man.
Yeah, I guess.
You can get on stage anytime you know it, and you know it.
I mean, I've written a lot of
take like a
jokes
couple warm-up sets, and then you're back in it.
Yeah, sadly, that's true. Do you remember the first time we met?
Dude, I remember vividly the first time we met.
No shit.
Because the first time we met was the first time I ever did stand-up.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. And you were the only person who was nice to me after my set because you were literally the person who told me. Backstory for people listening. The first time I did stand-up was a little bar in St. Charles, Illinois called
Pub 222.
Yes, Pub 222. And my background, I did public speaking. I was used to talking in front of crowds, and I thought I was told I was pretty funny, so I was going to give it a try. So before I did the mic, my first mic, everybody was hanging out in this little courtyard in the back, talking, and I was, you know, comics are real warm and welcoming to first-time comics, but we also enjoy watching first-time comics bomb and eat shit. And so everybody was setting me up with like oh yeah, congrats, welcome to, you know, blah, blah, blah. And they were all very, very excited to go watch me eat shit. And I didn't eat shit.
No.
I had a pretty good set for a guy who was his first time doing comedy. And we all went right back outside and sat at the same little tables and shit, smoked cigarettes or whatever. And nobody was talking to me. Nobody would talk to me. Nobody, like, I just got through having a really cool, chill time with these dudes, like 5 minutes before I was up. And then I came back and everyone was kind of like giving me one word answers and not looking at me. And then you finally like turned to me and went, nobody believes that was your first fucking set, or well, I don't know how exactly how you phrased it,
I
but
said something like that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I was like, oh, I was like, nah, man.
It's jealousy, man, because when you're in it, when you're in comedy and you see somebody go up for the first time and they do well, it's like, no, like screw you for being funny the first time. Like you get angry because you work so hard at that craft and you still bomb sometimes.
Do you know who was responsible for that though? I don't even get to take credit for being funny the first time.
Mhm.
Tom fucking Franklin
Oh man.
was the reason why I was funny the first time, because I was terrified, like anybody, the
Yeah.
first time. I was terrified about what I was gonna do. And right before I went up, Sean Mort,
Fitzpatrick.
huh?
Or no, or
No,
it's either
no,
Mike Moore.
no. The Sean was a black comic. He doesn't even do comedy. I think he did
Oh yeah,
comics
yeah,
for
yeah.
like
I
a
know what
couple
you're
months.
talking about.
He was like running the mic with Tom at the time, and I went to high school with him. He told me to come up to that mic. So Tom comes up to me. I look like I'm nervous. I look clearly physically. I'm like shaking, I think.
Yeah.
And Tom just goes, "Hey man, Sean told me you were funny. Are you fucking funny or not?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm funny." He goes, "Well, why the fuck are you nervous? You don't even know these people. Just go be funny." And he walked away like it was the most nonchalant thing ever. And I still to this day say that is the best advice I ever got in comedy, because right after he said that, I was immediately not nervous. I was like, that dude's right, man. Yeah, I don't even know these people. Why do I give a
Yeah.
fuck? And I was completely relaxed, and that was why I was successful that day.
Yeah. I mean,
I
it's
bombed later.
I mean, everybody bombs, but
Yeah.
like it's the thing I've told like new comics. Like I have people still message me like, I know you did comedy for a while. I'm going to get into it. Like, what do I do if I'm nervous? I'm like, you own the crowd. You own them. You got nothing to prove to them. Just go up and tell jokes. You know,
Yeah.
nothing to owe the crowd.
Yeah, yeah, and it's and I mean, in comics, we do support each other, but we also enjoy seeing each other bomb. You know,
Yeah.
it's a mixed bag. We want to see each other kill, and we want to see each other bomb. We want to see each other kill, and it also makes us try to do better ourselves.
Yeah.
Uh, and we also like seeing each other bomb, so we could give each other shit.
Yeah. Because after every open mic, everybody's hanging out, like having a few beers and chill. Like that's just part of that community. It's like we all hang out. We all like watching each other do comedy. Well, we also love giving each other shit after shows.
Yeah, yeah, it's some of the best stuff, man. It's some of the best stuff. I've seen, I've experienced it when I've been around more famous comics,
Mm-hmm.
and I've seen more famous comics talk about it. About there's a brotherhood of some sort of comedy, and that's one of the things. If anybody has siblings, if you're listening to this and you have siblings, you razz your siblings in a way that other people probably can't get away with,
Yep.
or if somebody else said it wouldn't be funny, probably start a fight. It's the same thing with comics. Like we talk shit about each other,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's fun. I can't think of the comic's name right now, but I know the first time I did a joke that got no, like comics have milestones, things happen. The
Yeah.
first time I did a joke that got an ovation.
Mm-hmm.
It was a joke about donuts or something. Uh,
Just
and
okay.
and I felt like the top of the world because it was the first time I did it, and fucking comics stopped. I had an open mic, and I got an applause at a fucking open mic, which is the comics don't give a
Unheard
shit
of.
about. Yeah, comics don't give a shit about other comics, and comics stop writing in their books and side conversations like, "Holy shit, this is a really funny bit," right? So I'm walking as this is happening. The people are cheering. I am walking to the back of the room. I'm feeling like the fucking king. And God, I wish I could remember the comic's names. It would make it a little bit better story. But as a comic looks at me, goes, I'm Excel. I'm a fat guy likes donuts. Real original, bro. And just walked away. And just literally like just kicked the chair from fucking under me, man. I literally like went from thinking I just rocked it to just like, oh yeah, that's probably a really common fucking. I didn't really. God damn it.
There's an element in comedy, like, and we mentioned it with like a first timer going up, but there are comics that are just toxic and like want you to fail. And like when you're better than them, they take it personally. It's like, no, you don't got to take that shit personally because like we're own individuals.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I like when comics, especially if somebody I have somehow fixed my head to think that I'm quote unquote better than, because it's subjective as fuck. So,
Yeah, yeah.
but if somebody who I think I have better whatever skills than, is successful, I don't get jealous. It actually gets me kind of fired up because then I figure out, hey man, if what I think about myself is accurate, then that means there's opportunity out there for me. I just got to find my lane. You know
Exactly.
what I'm saying? And that's how I felt about it all the time. Like I haven't when I started out, I was 100% convinced that I was gonna be fucking Patrice O'Neal in like year one or two. I
Mhm.
thought I was gonna own. But I was pretty fucking obnoxious about it because I was older than everybody, and I was like, "Look, I'm already funny, so
Yeah,
where's Hollywood?"
they're coming
and
knocking.
and I've had some opportunities and stuff. They not coming knocking is kind of strong. I'd say they yelled down the block like, "Hey, you want to do something?" Yeah, I want to do something. Okay, be here at 6. All right, cool. That type of shit. It's not like they're beating down my door, but yeah, it's been a journey. It's been fun, but yeah, when I started out, I thought I was the greatest thing to fucking ever touch Chicago comedy.
That's
Um,
every comedian's like first like year. It's like I'm the best. I'm bombing, but I'm the best. No one's better than
yeah. All these thoughts are completely original. I've had so many instances of getting having a reality check that uh not that I'm not great, but that just like, hey man, yeah, that was a funny thing you thought of, but it's not you're like somebody else had that idea too,
me.
or
Yeah.
something similar, or I I opened for a guy at the improv once I had
Mhm.
never heard of. And at the time I had a bit about being in the gym, like a locker room bit about all this just weird shit that happens in the locker room. And so after I got the gig, I Googled the guy and I like watched a YouTube clip of him. And he had a verbatim fucking bit. It sounded like my bit. Exactly. I'd never heard of this dude, never seen him, had
Mhm.
never heard of him. He'd been in comedy for 20 years. The guy had never heard of me. There's no way he stole my bit. I'd been doing it at fucking open mics. It's
Yeah,
not like
yeah.
I hadn't even put it, I hadn't put it online. I wasn't in a position at the time where anybody would ever seen it. Uh, and plus, I think the video clip I saw was like from 3 years before I even started comedy.
Yeah, yeah.
So you thought like, there's no way. Like if anything, I stole from him, but I'd never heard of him before.
Yeah.
Um, and that like I was just I can't remember. A famous comic was talking about how uh, if you give a room full of comics the same topic and the same like time frame, you got 10 comics, 8 of them are going to come up with the exact same joke.
Oh yeah.
And the ninth one's going to have just a slight different variation, and maybe the 10th one's going to have like something completely different. But everybody's going to come up with the same thing because we're all working under the same circumstances, and
Mhm.
whatever. So yeah, I don't know why I'm rambling on this. Ask me
That's
another
fine.
question. I'm talking too much.
This whole show is just rambling. But
Oh,
but you're
okay.
but you're hitting on the idea of parallel thought, which like I remember there was like four of us that had the same joke about Labyrinth, essentially. A movie from the 80s. And I got so mad because mine was first. And I told those three other comics, like, Labyrinth is my territory. And I'm just like, I'm the dickhead here. Anybody can write a joke about that movie. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
no one's trying to steal my shitty bit because I wasn't that great of a comic on my own,
I
you know?
disagree about that. You always self-deprecating about your comedy, man. I really loved your characters.
That's different. The
Uh
character work is completely different than like me as a stand-up comic.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
I, some people see that way, man. If you get up there by yourself and you make people laugh, I don't give a fuck how you do it.
Yeah, yeah.
Like if people enjoy it, if people walk away and they had a good experience and they enjoyed seeing you, like there's a lot of people, there's a lot of quote unquote comedy rules and shit
Yeah.
or ideas. I am very liberal with that. I only have two rules in comedy: be funny. Number one, be funny.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, don't steal. That's it.
Yep.
Everything else is negotiable, as far as I'm concerned. So, I mean, I'm not trying to take your ownership of what you want to call what you do away, but I enjoy watching you get on stage, whatever you're doing.
Thank
I
you.
enjoyed it, and I think I'm a pretty funny dude. So I think you were pretty funny too.
Thank you. I mean, like I would go to people would get mad because I'd go to an open mic and I'd sign up as like six different characters. And they're like, why does Matt get to go up so much? And everybody's like, because he's gonna do 6 really good sets, and maybe one bad set is himself. The audience will never know it's the same guy because I had wigs and shit.
That shit was good. That hey man, but yeah, that kind of creativity, yeah. And like I said, you be so the self-deprecating. I get it. You're a humble man, but you're a funny motherfucker.
I
Don't let nobody
appreciate
tell
that.
you different.
No one's told me different because I'm not around in comedy anymore.
Ah.
I want to ask. I do want to ask you because you came into the suburban comedy scene when it was first becoming a thing. There was Pub 222, I think Comedy Under the Tap out in Oswego,
Yep.
and then there was an open mic in Aurora. You're coming into this scene new. You're coming into this scene as one of probably 2 black comedians. Like it was you and Chris Browder. That
Yeah,
was it.
yeah.
Did you feel ever like did you feel comfortable coming into that scene because you're performing to white audiences that may not relate to you in the same like bits you're doing because black audiences and white audiences are 2 very different things.
So I had a unique um I almost feel like I went to like a stand-up comedy college
Mm-hmm.
before I actually started doing stand-up comedy because I did direct sales, face-to-face sales. I'd walk and do a presentation in front of a group of people or one-on-one, and my whole thing in my sales was I was funny. I'd
Yeah,
make the people laugh a few times because I noticed if you make somebody laugh, they like you. If they like you, they'll listen to you. If they listen to you, bam, I got you, bitch. You buying something,
yeah.
you know? And and I was pretty good at it. I was really really good at it. I did very very well. And so I kind of just apply like the same shit to stand up. But it was wait, what did you ask me originally? Oh, about being black. Oh, I was used to talking to. This is gonna be great. Great listening, guys. Great
Hey, I'm
listening.
back. I'm back. What'd you ask me? Oh, about being
Yeah.
black.
That was weed. That was weed. I was smoking. I go to the gym and anyway, being black, I was used to talking to like old white people,
Yeah.
like big audiences. Because sometimes I had to do a presentation for the I think she was senior vice president of AT&T for like the Midwest region. Like she ran 5 states for
Mm-hmm.
AT&T. I do presentations in front of her and a board of executive men who all secretly hated her because she was their boss.
Yeah, yeah.
And shit like that way years before I ever tried to stand on stage. So I kind of knew how to talk to suburban audiences better, honestly, than it was harder for me to learn how to work in black rooms
Mm-hmm.
than it was to work in white rooms because white rooms give you an opportunity to tell a story,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll ride with you even if it's not funny right away. They want to hear, well, what the fuck's going to happen, you
Yeah,
know?
exactly.
And a black room is like, get to the point, motherfucker, you know, like. And I learned that I learned that quickly. So that so yeah, the suburbs. Starting in the suburbs, I'm a suburban kid. I'm from Aurora. Um, I was where I worked in sales. I went to a small Catholic college in Indiana. I was around white people. I was making white people laugh. You don't get to be a giant dude like me, and you either have to be an amazing athlete or funny, or they
Yep,
don't let you live
yep.
this long. You can't be mean. If I don't make when I'm not like smiling or laughing, I look very dangerous. I have resting like I'll fuck you up face.
Yeah.
And so I'm often like trying to be funny or laugh because I scare people. And I'm not even trying to like be self-deprecating. Like you're listening to you don't know this. I'm 6'7" and a whole bunch of pounds.
mm-hmm.
Um I'm not gonna say my exact weight because I'm working out and I'm losing weight, so I don't know my exact weight. But I'm a heavy boy. But I'm a big man. Let's put it like this. There's a player named Big Cat Johnson that used to play for the Bears,
Yep.
and at one time, Big Cat was the largest player in the NFL, and Big Cat called me Big Man once. I swear to God. He looked at me and goes, "Hey, what's up, big man? Damn." And I was like, I literally walked away from that conversation so sad. Like, that did like it should do something for your ego and make me feel bad. And I was like, he gets paid $20 million a year, and I do open mics in Sheboygan.
When I was running AOK comedy out in St. Charles, I didn't know that like venues when you're running a show should pay you actual money if you're bringing people in because I was naive. So they paid us in like 4 drink tickets. And so like every Monday night that we'd run that show, I'm like, I'm getting 4 beers for a total of, $12 to run this show
Yeah,
where we're packing a house,
yeah,
bringing them money.
yeah. It's that's that's the toughest part about comedy, man. Is there's everything. It that's one of the weirdest part about America and comedy and showcases it and exposes us to it is that America is all about business. Go out and make money. Do for yourself. You have the freedom to do stuff, but
Mhm.
nothing in our life teaches us to do that except for like going to do that. Or if you have parents or something that are business owners, you might have an opportunity to do that. But most people are not prepared for I, the number of people who have started open mics or shows and were getting screwed by the bar
Mhm.
and they were packing the place is legendary. It's like
Yes.
every comic has that story. And it's not you have to be a wizard, but hey man, if somebody's making money, you should be too. Is the
Exactly.
short of it. If somebody else is making money and you're the reason why people are there because people are there to laugh at what you guys are doing, there should be some kind of conversation, and it shouldn't just be beer.
Exactly. But when I was running a show, I was maybe 30. But you're young and
Yeah,
naive and you don't know that, you don't understand that. All you see is like, I want to put together a good show, have good comics, get people in the door. And then when you leave that venue, you're like, I should have made money off of this.
yeah. You don't think about it until like you start looking back and you're like, hey, wait a minute. I used to be. I had a crew called the Delinquents of Comedy, and we did VFWs all over like
Mm-hmm.
central and southern Illinois and Indiana, right? Northwest Indiana, central Indiana and stuff. And we had one venue. When we first started, we were super excited that somebody was willing to give us. It was 5 comics, and they were willing to give us $600. So we
Wow.
made like a tad bit over $100 each,
Yeah.
right? And we were excited about that. We get to the place, and it's a fucking 300-seat room that they charge $20 for the show,
Mm-hmm.
and it's packed, and they're charging drink tickets. You have people had to buy drink tickets at the back, and they're charging for booze. And we're all just sitting there looking at this and realize, oh, we just got fucking hosed,
Mm-hmm.
and it was our fault. We were happy to get the fucking 600
Yeah.
until we realized like we started doing the math just from like the back of the stage, just looking at the audience like, hey, wait a minute. They made at least $6,000 on top of whatever they're fucking making at the bar. And we
Yeah.
got paid 600? What the fuck? You
Yeah.
know?
That's just how that system works. I remember like we would charge people $5 at the door to come to like not our open mics, but our showcases. And the number one thing was like, we got to get the headliner paid. You usually got someone coming out from Chicago and you're paying them $25, which sucks because that's not worth their time. But that's all you can afford,
Yeah.
because we want to pay all the comics and then we want to make a little bit of money too, which was usually like $10. It was nothing. The only
Yeah.
rule was like, we can't get paid more than the headliner, so it's a weird economy, like just comedy in general, because I don't know, most of the time you're just dumb about it and you don't understand how it works.
I you know, I just I'll be honest with you, and I have a background in business. But I just kind of figured it out in year 11, 12. I've been doing comedy for 13 years, but year 11, 12, with how to really, I knew how to run a showcase. I knew how to book comedy. I knew how to get a venue and stuff, but knowing exactly how to book a venue, not just picking a place because it looked like, oh, this place will be good for comedy. Because
Exactly.
every room I walk into, I think looks good for comedy.
Exactly.
But like, okay, hey, is this place going to be a partner? Are they going to be actively involved, or are they just going to expect you to do everything? Um, can you get people to come to this place? Pick. I also just little stuff like picking an off night, finding out what their weakest night is, and then working really hard to bring anybody in their weakest night. If they have a night that they only get like 20 customers and you bring in another 20, even though it's just 20 people, that's not a super successful show. I mean, depending on how big the room is, but
Yeah.
That place is going to be fucking excited. You just doubled the number of people they got, and then you work from a position of strength in negotiating. That just wasn't what I'd done before, and it never occurred to me even to operate like that until I started talking to a couple of my DJ buddies, and they were like, "Oh yeah, no, this is how you do a room." No, it
Yeah.
wasn't comics; it was DJs that were like, "No, man, no, you do this, this is what we do," and then you promote the fuck out of it, and then you get the profit. So yeah, like stuff like that. You know who's great? Danny Callis.
Yeah. Yeah. He's actually
Danny
come up on this
Callis.
show a lot.
He should. Danny should be like a professor at Second City, but not. I mean, he's funny. He's a very, very, very funny comic, but he shouldn't teach comedy. He should teach comedy business. The whole see what I say. I'm giving all the credit to Callis, but Kilgallen, Callis,
DeRosa.
huh? DeRosa, yeah,
DeRosa.
Marty, yeah, all the OGs, all the guys who started it, and the people who continued it. I'm not gonna talk their business, but I know some stuff. Let me say, the comedy rumor mill has said some things about the financials of comedians you should know, which Danny helped create and found, and they do quite well.
Oh yeah.
But they also, the backstory of them is there's a documentary value in the story of comedians you should know. They got screwed. The first two venues that they worked at fucked them over.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I even saw a comedy venue that used to be in the suburbs of Aurora that had a comedians you should know show that they couldn't make work. And it was the only successful show they had at the venue, and they still couldn't make it work because they were determined to close their business.
Yeah.
So
But
that's the best part of the gig.
You had big names coming out of there too. Like DeRosa worked within wrestling and podcasting. I mean, Drew Michael was on, I think, still doing like SNL.
I think and I also think he runs the New York. They have a New York show. They have a New York and an LA show too.
I mean, that just blew up out of Chicago because no one paid attention to Chicago comedy. It was LA or New York. But in Chicago, you had like tons of people coming up.
The funny thing about Chicago comedy, I refer to it, I say this all the time, it's a baseball reference. I call it the Dominican Republic of comedy. You go to the major league, that's the East West Coast, you go to LA or New York, but you learn the game here.
Yeah.
You learn how to play here. You learn how to be funny. You learn how to be original. You learn how to grind here. And I think it's my first time in Los Angeles. I was at the Comedy Store, and I was waiting to go up, and a couple of famous comics, Bobby Lee and Steve Ranazinzi, however you say his name, the guy who lied about 9/11.
Yep. The guy from The League.
The League. I know. I love that show. He's a very funny guy. I know. But anyway, they came in a room, green room at the green room in the belly room of the Comedy Store is kind of large. It's almost like a little small tiny apartment, and there's maybe 15 comics hanging out on all the couches having conversations, and me and Patrick Newsom, another suburban Chicago comic, are on the couch, and we watched them destroy 12 of the 15 comics in the room. They talk, they rip about everybody but us. They literally just going through the room, just like, you suck, blah, blah, blah. Why are you still here? And they get to us and they don't know us. I'm like, who the fuck are you guys? Where are you guys? And we're from Chicago. And they immediately just go, oh, you guys are real comics. You guys are cool. And then they just go back to start destroying the other guys. And we sit there laughing. And after what they're done, hey, we're going to take the compliment. We're going to take the win. But we just want to know, why do you think we're real comics? You've never seen us before. And he goes, watch this. He goes, let me ask you something. Why do you do comedy? Why do you do stand-up? He goes, because I want to be a stand-up. He goes, exactly. Watch this. And he turns around. He just picks somebody random. He goes, hey, why'd you start doing stand up? And they're like, oh, well, my agent, I'm an actor and I do dance. And my agent thought, and blah, blah. And he did this like 2 or 3 times with other people in the room. And it was a bunch of fucking LA people who comedy was like part of what they were adding to a entertainment resume, which I'm not shitting on. It is what they do, but they weren't stand ups. They were doing stand up because stand up was a way to be on a stage and be seen in LA, and an opportunity that somebody might, oh, that person's cute and they're funny.
Yeah.
Let me put them in my sitcom type shit.
Yeah.
The point of that story is, even comics not from Chicago, I don't know if Bobby Lee or Stephen Azinzi even have a background in Chicago comedy, but they know Chicago comedy as a place where, oh, if you're from Chicago, you do comedy, you give a fuck about being a stand-up, and that's pretty much it. If you get something else because of it, yay, but you got in it to tell jokes.
Yeah. I mean, you think about like the grind doing open mics and stuff. It doesn't really exist in the suburbs because there's not enough open mics, but you'd spend like one night going to Chicago, hitting up 4 open mics. Like, you're working your ass off to be good at stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
Again, suburbs, just one a week or one a night.
Yeah, one a night. And it's the same. The thing I lament, and it's been like this in the suburbs, there are some very, very talented guys coming out of suburbs. There's a dude named Lucas. I can't think of Lucas's last name, but he's Italian kid, tall, handsome dude, fucking funny as hell. He's in New York now. He's crushing it. He was a suburban comic that actually went into the city and did the grind and stuff. Peyton Ruddy, little chubby dude, looks like he's like gonna be like he looks like what's the dude from King of New York? Not King of New York, King of
the Pete Davidson movie?
No, the fat sitcom dude.
No idea.
Oh, he was Paul Blart.
Oh God, Kevin James.
Wasn't the show called King of something? King of Queens.
King of Queens. There you go.
King of Queens. I know it was King of something. Yeah. Peyton Ruddy is a Kevin James type, but he's funnier. He's like Kevin James if Kevin James was dark.
Okay.
But I'm saying they're out of the suburban scene, so there's a lot of talent in the suburban scene like that. But there's also, unfortunately, guys in the suburban scene who they're doing the same fucking jokes that I saw them doing like 3 years ago, and it's like, hey man, that material is funny. It'd be cool if other people heard it too.
Exactly.
It'd be cool, or if you went somewhere else with it.
I mean, but that was the problem with the scene too, is that you've got those same guys that are trying to do that grind for 3 or 4 years, but they never write new material. They're never playing to more than the same open mic audience. They're never doing showcases. So you're just kind of stuck in this loop of just never evolving, never becoming better.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I am still part of the suburban scene, so I'm not like trying to shit on anybody for not launching out. But I think most people would say that I try to keep it a little bit fresh. I pull out the old guns for the road, because those people
they don't know
never heard. They don't know shit. But if you see me in the suburbs doing material, any place that I'm at regularly, I usually try to keep it fresh, because I know a lot of those places have repeat audiences. Still Not Friday. Like, I'm a Still Not Friday this Thursday night, the 14th. It's going to be all new set, because I'm there 3 times a year, and they have the same fucking audience.
Oh yeah.
Like the 30 to 40% of the audience are repeat, people, which is awesome for them. Great for them. Great, they have that loyalty and stuff. But as a comic, I don't want to do the same set for half the room knows it.
I was going to go to that show. I was very, very close to going.
And now, you're performing. Get the fuck out of here.
No. My friend Sarah Clancy's driving down from Milwaukee. She was on this show or this podcast a few weeks back. I was like, we haven't seen each other in a long time. Like, I'd love to come out. And then I had a dream that I had a seizure at a comedy show, and I'm like, not going.
Yeah.
I'm not superstitious. I don't believe in any of that, but I'm like, that's my brain telling me, like, just stay home in your comfort zone for that night.
Have you ever read Malcolm Gladwell's Blink?
No.
I'm not going to get into the whole because you said the not superstitious part. There is science that suggests that what your reaction is wholly legitimate and not any kind of superstitious hocus pocus, that you are 100% accurate, that your subliminal conscious may have been just saying, maybe pass on that.
Yeah, it's just saying take it easy.
Yeah, but it's also, I'm not trying to summarize the book Blink, but the gist of it is our brains take in a vast amount of information that we are not processing. Our brains process what we need for the moment of what we're doing, and that's what's in our conscious and what we are fully aware of. But there's like little noises, ticks, things that you don't see or are in your peripheral that you can see, but you're not focusing on. Your brain is still taking in all that data, like a
Yeah.
camera. And so when something comes up that for whatever reason it triggers something familiar in your subconscious of, hey, this scenario plus this scenario for this scenario is going to end to something that you don't want to do
Yep.
because of all this data that you weren't paying attention to, and that's when you get that weird fucking thing.
Yep.
That's kind of the Malcolm Gladwell. If you ever listen to this podcast and you're like, that's not at all what I was trying to say, I apologize. It's been a while since I read your book, and I'm bad at summarizing other people's shit, but that's what I think it was.
Yeah, but because I got laid off this year, and then I started having seizure after seizure after seizure. They put me on new meds. I can't drive until sometime next year.
Oh,
So
wow.
I can't drink anymore, which is giving up drinking was easy. I can't smoke weed anymore. That was a little bit tougher.
I'm sorry.
It's all right. But being that Aurora isn't that far away from where I live, but it's like a 35-minute drive for me, 30 minutes. Yeah. And I'm like, I can't be that far away from home without my wife making sure that I'm cool.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's where I'm standoffish about it. Like I'm going, to hang out with friends during the week, but they live 2 miles away. Worst comes to worst, someone drives me home, Yeah. But Aurora, who's going to want to drive to St. Charles from Aurora? It's like, that's out of the way for everyone. And also, nope.
Actually, I'm not saying me. I'm trying to think. I want to say it on the podcast, but when we're done, if you're really interested, I think there's somebody coming from your way on the list of people performing that night. I think there's somebody coming from the St. Charles area. I'm not 100% sure, but I'll show you who's all performing. I think somebody's coming from that way. I mean, if you really wanted to have like a co-pilot.
Yeah, I mean, there is. If you remember Eric Younglove from Comedy Shrine, he lives a block away. You were like 2 blocks away from me for a long time, if I remember correctly, and we never saw each other.
Yeah, I wasn't living there. I was just spending a lot of time there.
Yeah.
If you know what I'm saying.
Right. Literally, I could probably open my blinds right now and see the house you were at, I believe. There
was I don't remember why.
I know why, but we're just not going to bring it up. It's nothing illegal or anything. It's just like, let's not rehash that shit.
Okay.
Yeah. I got you.
I never mind. We'll talk later.
Yeah, it's something else. Okay. Talk to me about what you're doing now. Aside from stand-up comedy, you're venturing into the world of YouTube.
Yeah, man. I started an animated show, which is now currently America's #1 Black animated fake news show.
Is there another one?
I don't have that data, but as far as I know, we are the #1. I do think we are the only one that fits that specific criteria. And if we're not, then I will also add out of Chicago, out of Chicagoland, because I feel pretty certain about that. Yeah, it's an animated show. It's called What Had Happened News. And I am not an animator. I'm not a person who draws or even technically knew how to do any kind of editing stuff really before I started doing this. And if you watch the show, you will literally, if you go to the early episodes, episode 1, and just watch your way through, you'll literally watch me learn how to do all this shit as it goes. Like you'll see the show improve, the graphics and stuff improve as I just kind of put it around and go, oh, this doesn't have to look like that. um, and it's basically kind of my take on the classic SNL Weekend Update slash Daily Show type thing, lampooning the news. I do take some stuff that I actually believe. I do say some stuff I actually believe, but also still, even when I'm talking about stuff I actually believe, I try to say it in a way that keeps it light or funny or brings it back to comedy. And it's fun. It's fun. I started doing it during the strike because um, Colbert and all the guys who usually, roast politicians and whatever's happening in the news, they were all on strike. They couldn't do it. And I remember thinking something had the Alabama boat brawl.
Yes.
The Alabama boat brawl happened, and I thought to myself, it really sucks Colbert and those guys aren't on the air. They would have had a great time with this. And then a second voice in my head is like, hey, doofus, you're a fucking comic too. Why don't you do something? That's how the show started.
Exactly. And you're mentioning like essentially the show finding its own voice, and that's typical for every single show. Like this show didn't find its voice till episode 5. The show I'm working on as a producer, which I think has launched, I don't know, it depends. Like, because this episode isn't airing for like a month that we're doing now.
Oh, okay, okay, that makes sense. I was like, bro, how are you producing? But I get it.
We're still trying to figure out like production schedule. We have a bunch of episodes recorded, but like that show doesn't find its voice till episode 3, because like the pilot is just the idea you have, that first episode, but you really don't understand how that works until you've been working on it for hours upon hours. This show is going to change right here within 3 episodes. Like you're just trying to find that voice.
Yeah.
So hopefully you found that voice. I mean, you're quite a few episodes in.
Yeah. I think there's 104, 105 clips up total. I'm on episode 69. The next one I release will be episode 69.
Very nice.
But there's a lot of I put up a lot of shorts and stuff because that's a new thing with YouTube.
Yeah.
And so I'm just trying to play the algorithm game and jump on whatever they think, whatever they want to make cool now. But I do believe the show's kind of found its voice. I tried having a writing staff. I still want to have a writing team. It is hard to have a writing team because basically it's mostly on me. I don't want to make it sound like I'm blaming the guys who helped write for the show. KB Marion, Rob Hines, Bobby Hill, Jeff Hall, all worked very, very hard and did really, really great work on the show. The difficulty was me because I was not doing showrunner shit. Like showrunner, I should have the day before at least, or a week before. We were doing the news, so you only have so much time, but they should have had assignments and known, hey, this is what we're talking about tomorrow and things like that. I was literally like 9 o'clock in the morning. Hey, I saw this on TikTok. Anybody got jokes? And so like they would try to do stuff, but it was kind of unfair to them because all of them have other shit that they're doing. This was my baby, so I started. So that's again, if you watch the show, I started out solo. Then there's a whole news team, and then it just goes to me solo. The news team is still part of the team. All those people I just named still like send me stuff every now and then, and they're going to be back more next year because of the election and shit. We're going to have a lot of fun with that. But right now it's just basically me.
Yeah. I've been watching. It's you not yelling about TikTok, watching a TikTok and just really solid commentary on it.
It's fun. My favorite episode so far, and it's one of the most interacted with on all the platforms, is there was a robbery in Chicago that got captured on film, and it was like one of those things like, oh, look, this is the violence in Chicago, right? And if you watch the robbery, it's like, are you filming this for Chicago PD or something like that? It was clearly such a fucking staged operation. Like there were parts of it like I kept watching it because of the editing. I just kept finding new shit. So if you watch the episode, there's kind of points where it looks like I might have gotten like newly excited, and it's literally because I just like for instance, in the video, the car is parked with the lights out, and they just turn the lights on and pull off from a park position and ride right through the intersection and perfectly time meet this woman walking up to the intersection. It was
Yeah,
literally like
yeah,
somebody's action, and it was like perfectly timed. It's like so they were waiting for this one particular random woman to
yeah.
walk across the street. What the and, and I don't mean to sound like I know I know criminals, but this didn't take you didn't have to be fucking Sherlock Holmes to look at
Yeah.
this and see it was problematic with this with how this robbery went.
Yeah, I mean, like I lived in Chicago for a few years before I met you, early 2000s to mid 2000s. And like, I remember watching the news, like, Chicago's on fire. And I'm like, dude, I've lived here for years. Like, I got held up once and I told the guy to fuck off and he did. But you
Yeah,
know,
man.
but it's not bad there. Like,
The
it's not, no,
vast majority of Chicago is like insanely safe
yeah,
and cool because the cops basically have an agreement with the motherfuckers who do most of the bad shit. Is basically like, hey, as long as you stay out of these areas, um, you're cool. And or we're not gonna like bring the hammer of God down on you. It's basically thing. But if you could like I've been downtown where somebody like tried to pull some shit and cops came after him. And I've seen literally like a swarm. I don't want to put a number on it, but just a massive amount of cops chased like two kids that were snatching purses. Like
yeah,
way more like cops from like an Eddie Murphy movie,
yes,
action movie type. Like that's the type of response that happens if you're a downtown Chicago Gold Coast area and you snatch a purse. Any place where tourists are going to be,
yeah,
if you're in an area like that and you just snatch a purse. That's the reaction that happens. So it doesn't happen there. Now, if you get robbed trying to buy drugs on the west side, yeah, you know, oh, you should have known a little bit before you went there and only brought enough for the drugs. If you brought more than drug money, that was on you.
yeah,
Wedding
because
band comes off. Cell phone, I don't even take a cell phone if I don't have to.
yeah, because I was out in Logan Square before it became like what Logan Square is now. Just
Oh yeah.
yeah,
There were
uh,
like hookers, like you could drive down Milwaukee at one point and just and actually see like women working.
oh
I don't know
yeah,
if when you yeah, you saw
yeah.
that, yeah.
I mean, like there were definitely streets I knew I couldn't walk down. Like I couldn't go down Shakespeare. Like that was the one thing I learned quickly. Is like you just Shakespeare's not a street for you, man. Just pass it. You know.
And it's like $1 million homes on Shakespeare
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But like
now.
I loved my neighborhood because like there was so much good stuff going on there. Like it was really a nice mixed community. I can get the best Mexican or Puerto Rican food ever in that neighborhood. And then I remember the day before I was moving out, I get off the L and I'd always talk to the guy that ran what I called the hip hop store. He always had a Tweety Bird shirt on, like, and he was just selling Looney Tunes shirts.
Yeah, with a giant Tweety Bird.
The biggest Tweety Bird you've ever
Yeah, yeah,
seen.
yeah. It took up the whole shirt. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, he always had a milk crate out with the boom box. And I remember I was getting off the L at Logan Square stop. And I look over him and he's closing the gate for the store. And I'm like, what's going on, man? He's like, white people coming in. I'm like, oh, I got to get out of this neighborhood. I was also
Man.
part of the problem because I was a white person living there.
But there's a way to be a part of the neighborhood and not destroy what made the neighborhood. Like it's happening so many places. I didn't know why it happened, but are you familiar with like Fulton Market area?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Fulton. Have you been there recently, like in the last couple years?
No.
Okay, so Fulton Market used to be, for anyone listening, not around from Chicago, it used to be a meatpacking district in
Mm-hmm.
Chicago. And most of it looked like, at nighttime, looked like where they would shoot Batman
Yeah.
scenes. Like literally there would be smoke coming out of the sewers and shit, and just enough light that you'd see a shadow walking down the street, but you couldn't actually make out the person. That's literally giving you a visual. Dark streets, even the cobble fucking brick streets. That whole thing. So picture that. That's what Food Market was, and it was a bunch of meat packing places, and it had a few speakeasy type clubs here and there that were nice. They were fancy when you get in, but like the outside looked like the fucking meat packing district. That was 20 years ago when I lived there. It is now full of the hot. Probably it's probably the hottest place in Chicago.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing. Apparently, all of the tech companies, Google and Snapchat, and I can't remember. There's like three or four other major internet companies, tech companies that moved to Chicago or have offices in Chicago. I think Amazon. They are all, and McDonald's. They're all based in or near that area, and they basically took all the warehouses there and either turned them into high-end condos, business suites, or like 4 or 5 star restaurants.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I went to literally a fried chicken place, a place that advertised itself as a fried chicken place. I took my son there. He wanted to go there for his birthday, and I was like, okay, fried chicken. He was like 14 or something. I was like, yeah, it's probably this about right. Okay. It was like a $90 tab for fried chicken for two people. And I know I'm a big guy. You probably think you're like, well, how much you ate? I ate like we ate regular. We ordered like regular plates. We didn't get a
Like
bunch of extra
what
shit.
would normally be a $7 plate anywhere or
Yeah,
$6 plate.
yeah. And we should at most we should have paid 20, $30 at any, regular restaurant, maybe less at a fast food place. It was like $90.
Yeah.
That's what that place is now. It went from fucking meatpacking district, Batman villain, vibe. Actually, it still has Batman villain vibes because it has all the rich people.
Yeah, exactly.
So like, yeah, it has all the rich people there just waiting to be robbed. It still has the Batman villain vibes because it still has the same look. It's just a bunch of rich people there now.
Yeah. I mean, again, I had that same problem happen to me when I lived in the South Loop. Like South Loop was South Loop. It's not a bad area. Like it was fine, you know.
Yeah.
I had Streetwise down the street. That's where they produce Streetwise.
Yeah. Okay.
I went to
They sell the
college.
paper.
Yeah, everybody knows Streetwise. Like if you're from Chicago, but I went to school at Columbia, so I was like 3 blocks from the film department, and I remember
Okay.
like they started tearing down old buildings or like refurbishing them. I'm like, okay, and I moved away to Logan Square, and I come back 5 years later. It's all like Potbelly's, Subway. It's all
Yeah.
chain restaurants. It's all high end towers and stuff, and like you can't walk to Soldier Field anymore. I couldn't figure it out.
Yeah.
It just
Dude, to go
sucks.
to Soldier Field, to go to Soldier Fields now, you have to that's like a cardio day for me.
Yeah,
I'm a big dude. To go to a game, even you could take a bus from Reggie's that'll drop you off basically at the closest point you can get dropped off at
yeah,
there. And it's not, I don't want to make it sound like I'm exaggerating. It's not like it's a crazy long walk. But like if you go there on like say a summer day, or I went to the Denver game, the Bears Denver game in October, it was like 80 degrees that day or high 70s that day.
hmm
Uh yeah, I walking from the where you do the what do you call it, pregame shit. Anyway,
yeah.
you stuff you do for
The
game.
par- the,
Walking from
the
there
parking
to the
lot.
stadium, walking to the stadium, say everybody was sweating, not just my giant fat ass.
Yeah,
Everybody's sweating like a dog. They have totally. It's beautiful. It's cool, but it's also like, hey man, can I just get to the place where the thing is at?
exactly. I'd walk down Roosevelt, and then you go under one of the highways, and then you would just be at Soldier Field. And then they changed it where you had to walk down over the train yard and then get on a bus. You couldn't just walk down there. You had to take like a transport bus underneath like a secret tunnel to get there.
And then even when you get to the thing, all the ramps are like this zigzag thing
Yeah,
that makes like what should be like maybe 15 steps 45 or more. Like it's interesting. But yeah, that whole area is beautiful. I did a show in one of the new luxury towers that they built there,
hmm
and it was being around rich people. I always like get surprised at just how like fucking amazing their lives are.
yeah,
We did a comedy show on like the 40th floor of this tower. You could see like Soldier Field. You could almost see into Soldier Field from this fucking place. On the 40th floor, they had an entertainment deck. Their entertainment deck was literally just the entire floor, like I think it was 4 room, no, it was 3 rooms, three rooms. One was decked out like just a big playroom, like pool tables, card tables, bar, all that stuff. Another one was just like a really pimped out like lounge, like you just having a social event, bunch of really cool couches and beautiful, all floor to ceiling ceilings. You can see 360 view of fucking downtown Chicago. uh, amazing. And that was just one floor. They had multiple floors like that just for recreation in the building. I didn't even see what the fucking units look like, but the rec room looked like better than anything that I've ever lived in my life.
That's how it is. We're gonna wrap this up here. We've been going for an hour, which
Oh wow.
it's
Yeah, I'm
it's been
talking. Sorry.
fantastic. No, that's what this show is. It's just catching up with friends. Like we haven't seen each other in a while. I've
This
always
is very
enjoyed you,
nice.
and I was apparently very nice to you the first time we met.
Dude, hey man, I'm trying to. It's so weird. I think I brought it up because somebody asked me. I think I was putting in my calendar or something. Somebody asked me about it, and so I started talking about it. I was like, there was the only dude that was nice to me after my first set. I started telling the story. Uh, just like maybe even less than a week ago.
So this is the part where I tell you to plug your stuff again. But do it. Just plug your stuff again. Just plug it all.
What had happened news? What WHAT happened? HAPPENED news. What? Excuse me. HAD. Sorry, I forgot. What had happened news? You got to put the had happened. I forgot. What had happened news? It's on YouTube. It's a cartoon of what I look like, sorta, and yeah, check that out. And you can see me on stage anywhere. If you're in the Naperville area and this is done before New Year's, I don't know if it will be. I'm at Hollywood Palms Casino, not casino, Hollywood Palms Cinema. We're turning it into a comedy club for New Year's, and it's gonna be dope. We're gonna have a DJ, gonna have a countdown, some of the dopest comics in Chicago, and my big ass. So it's gonna be pretty fun.
Hey, well, thank you for coming on. I appreciate you taking the time to get on your green screen and make yourself look nice for a non-video podcast.
It was a Zoom. I was like, man, I gotta fucking trim a beard. I look like a monster.
Not this show. Not at all.
Yeah.
I don't want anybody seeing me. I'm bald as hell.
No well, now, yeah. Well, now I'm ready for the open mics tonight. So
you take care of yourself, man.
Hey, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Hey, thank you, Xavier, for coming on to talk to me after years of not seeing each other. We still kept in contact on occasion, but when you leave comedy, I don't know. You just lose a set of friends, and it's weird and whatnot. Hey, rate us on Apple Podcasts. If you leave us an actual rating and review, I'll just read it on air. Why not? Please subscribe on all the places. I got a Patreon where I do videos and talk about a topic briefly. It's called Yelling Casually. That's pretty nice. That fits with what I'm trying to do. Anyways, opening music. The Muggles. The song's called Gilded Age. Recorded in 2003. Released in 2023 on vinyl. It features Tom Wanderer singing, Andrew Parks on bass, Will Asher on guitar, and me, Matt Elfring, on drums. That hey was me. We will see you all next week when we officially kind of kick off what casual yelling is going to be and what it is, and there should be video. Great. See you later.